Hi, and welcome back to Not Yet to Fix You, the podcast where we talk about food, behavior, healing, emotions, and everything in between. I'm your co host, Amanda, a food behavior stability strategist. I help you to eat better, especially when you are under stress and eat more consistently. With me today is my co host, Laziena. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Laziena, and I am your relationship repair companion, partner, buddy old pal. I'm here to help you be in better relationship with not only yourself, but the people that you really value and you love and care about. It is Saturday morning and I just woke up. And I just woke up, but I still feel very Saturday today. How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, it's Saturday evening here, so half my day is already over, but I still have energy to pull through for the next hour or two.
Yeah, now I need my energy. Let's go. So what do you want to talk about today? I feel like we have some really cool insights that we want to share. So Amanda, we tend to talk about, I think in the past couple weeks or so, we've talked about how things can feel like we have to be in control and it can feel overwhelming. And I think this is the one where it's on the healing journey. I was actually talking to somebody last night and he was saying that he was getting into like a new relationship and a new way of living after coming out of addiction. And it can feel a little bit underwhelming. And the process of how he saw it was that it's gonna feel underwhelming because all of the ways in his life prior, dopamine was hitting, but he had to learn how to sit outside by himself without any kind of substance or anything like that and just literally look at the sky or light a candle and be with his thoughts and his peace, or being in a relationship with someone who he had to get to know chemistry wise, whereas before they would be acting on whatever in the moment that was thrilling, right? So in some ways, it kind of took me back too because he was like, it could be a little boring or underwhelming. And I was like, but he didn't mean that the person was boring or anything like that. It was like you have to go into this way of being present with yourself and actively stop yourself from wanting to go and do something. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting because I think I've definitely uh had a phase in my own life where that's happened. And sometimes I look so I really love theme parks, okay? Like one of the things I love about theme parks are the rides. But what I notice is the most exciting rides for me are always the fastest ones, okay? And that is so different to how I am as a person because while I think I like to speed up things, like when I'm doing things, like I have a checklist and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do these things and I'm going to get it done for the day. But in general, I just kind of like to slow down and reflect on life and, things in general. Like I'm not, I think I used to be like, I need to go, go, go. But these days I'm kind of slowing that pace down. And I was just thinking about it the other week and I was like, oh, it's so interesting that I wonder, I haven't been to a theme park in a while, but I wonder whether I would still, want that thrill of that fast ride, or would I be okay with just taking one of the slow ones as well? And I was like, okay, I think sometimes, I don't know whether this is like reminiscent for everyone, but I think sometimes I feel that maybe when you're not in a place where you're comfortable with things going on in your life, you always look for the next, attraction. I'll say attraction, but let's say you look for the next thing. You always like, "Oh, what can I do now? Like, what's next? What's next?" So, and I
Yeah.
remember talking to someone about this, and they were going through something, and uh, I mean, I could see what they were going through, but I didn't want to bring it up for them. I just wanted them to think about what they were going through. So I try to ask some sort of reflective questions just to get them to slow down and, think about it. And their response to me was, I don't really want to reflect, or I don't really want to think because then I feel very upset about things. So I just want to keep moving and keep going. What do you think about what I shared? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so from an emotional standpoint for me, when I notice, let's use food as an example, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I would get into those binge fast or those moments where I'm eating uncontrollably, I feel active. I feel like I'm doing something. My brain is like, "Oh, let me go do." And then the other parts of it is when I had to slow down and stay present. I found myself having to talk to that part of me that's going do because it's like, no, we have to stay. And it was like this big fight to get control. Like it's like this little kid almost like, "Oh, look, I want to go play over here." And the mom was like, no, 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 we gotta, let's sit over here. Let's learn. Let's write in our books or whatever it is that we have to do. So as I understand, of course, it's dopamine, right? Like we want to get the next exciting thing that's happening. We want to do the next exciting things. However, from the emotional standpoint, I wanted to escape. I wanted to find something that's more exciting, and I want to escape from my feelings. I don't want to sit with myself. I don't want to deal with the thoughts and the emotions that are coming up or the work that I'm going to have to do. So of course I'm going to want to run away. So now when I'm intentional and aware that, oh my gosh, I need to sit down with myself. I need to slow down. I need to read a book. I need to do all of these things that I have been resisting doing my whole life. Can to me, I guess it just never seemed boring. It more felt like I didn't want to do this in the first place, and now I have to. And when I started to sit down with it and learn more about me, I realized that go part of me was also the part that's calling for a purpose, that's calling for a vision, for activity, for fulfillment. But because I didn't know what it was and it was uncomfortable to face and unpack, I want to go to the thing that's going to make it easier right away. So sometimes, like whenever that's happening, I find myself snacking or I'm hungry while I'm in go mode. And it's like old pattern that's also like, okay, I want this and this. And I have to be so focused and aware to know that that is actually a distraction. Or even like now, like my phone, for example, that's something, even if I'm locked in and I'm focused on, I know I have to get this task done. My brain is like, okay, this is a task that I'm doing, but my mind and my heart is like, okay, I want to be free. I want to have life. I want to have love. I want to go on an adventure. So let's do that. And then it's like, okay, well, when we are doing all of that from a place of of not being intentional, it doesn't serve me in the purpose that we sat down and we wrote down about and the things that we wanted to do. So I kind of, that's kind of what was playing through my head as you were talking.
Yeah. And with food, I've noticed that like with the dopamine rush comes in whenever you're trying something new for the first time, right? Like I don't know about you, but I remember every time I tried a new diet, I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. Like this is gonna be the answer to like what I'm looking for. And then I'd start. So that was like my dopamine hit. Like, and if I followed it for the first few days, that's like, oh, I did it. Like it's like a reward for me. That dopamine rush was there. But then I think what I realized is that doesn't really last for long. And of course, diets don't work. We all know that. We talk about that so often on our podcast. But I think even when you try to change your behavior, like let's say you try to move from unhealthy behavior to a healthy behavior, right? Whether that's food or whether that's even with yourself, like maybe I can have a better relationship with yourself. Initially, in the beginning, there's obviously going to be some resistance. But when you actually dig deep into it and you start doing it and you start seeing the results, you get so into it. And you're like, every time you're hitting a new thing, you're like, this came up from me. And this is what I learned. And this is what I learned. So the whole journey is kind of really exciting. But once you're on the other side of it, now let's say you master the behavior and you're like actually in a healthy place, you're like, oh, now it's kind of boring. Like it's a regular Tuesday. Like now what do I do? Like I'm looking for the next thing, but I'm not getting the same dopamine hit because I'm so used to doing that now that it's kind of become part of me, right? So I think sometimes we mistake the continuity for like underwhelming and boring and what have I got going for me. And I think sometimes it's also, I don't know about you, but I think very often all the messages I see, whether it's on social media or even on shows or whatever, it's always about productivity. I don't know if you've seen that, but like everywhere the signs are like, this is what you need to do. 5 steps to be more productive. 5 steps to have a better morning. 5 steps to something. It doesn't help that we have AI now because the messages I'm hearing are AI is going to make you so much more productive. And I think we already live in an instant enough society and that word productivity is thrown around so much that now I
Yeah.
feel like we've learned that. And now we're like, if I don't do anything and sit with myself, I'm not productive. I'm not doing anything. And it's so funny because our ancestors didn't have any of these things that we enjoy today, right? There was no AI, there was no tech. And they were more than happy to, go to the park and just sit on a bench and stare at the at nature or like at the birds. Like that was
I mean, did they even get a chance to do that? They were pretty much in survival.
no, but I like to think that that's kind of what they would do. Like, I mean, sometimes my mom would tell me stories about how they would go to the park and then just sit there and like, watch the. I remember when I was a kid, my grandparents would take me to the park and I would watch the sunset. And that's because, back then there was just like TV. We didn't have all these other fancy things. So I think we learned more to like go out and, just sit and be, as opposed to now we always think like we have to do, like even though we can enjoy peace, we don't feel like we can because we just gotta be more productive all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that it is a transition because now, I mean, especially in my journey of healing, not awareness, healing, because there's a difference with okay, now I know the things that I'm doing wrong. How do I heal it? Or how do it's not about, yes, it's about doing it differently, but I can't just force my way into doing it differently. I got to learn about myself. So that's the integration process, especially when you're going from high extremes to a different one. Like there's a lot of one of the topics that we haven't even covered in so many ways is like porn addiction. That is one of the biggest addiction, right? And that is rooted in so much shame. What I learned about myself is that I grew up very sexualized very at a very young age. So I'm going to be somebody who would like to have a lot of that. So now I've been from that to celibacy, and that is a completely different environment. It's not as exciting, and it could feel like a lot of lack, but to be intentional with it now, I have no problem with that. I prefer celibacy over casual hookups and things like that because it feels empty. Because I got on the other side and I really identify within me what I like, what I don't like, why I like it, how I can cultivate it within myself, and how I can replace the need for what was underneath that need. Most of the time, it's to avoid feeling something or not being aware of what I'm feeling and acting on it in a way that it doesn't honor me or isn't true to the honoring the relationships that I'm in or whatever the case is that anyone else might be experiencing. But that's a big up and down, right? You're going from a high extreme to a low extreme. And to me, the feeling of after having like I had a partner who was like super into pornography and I wasn't. It always felt like an attack on me, like I wasn't good enough because why do you need external stimulation? And so when I put myself in their shoe, right, I'm avoiding a lot of my feelings and I just want to get the happy feeling. But in between that happy feeling and that stability feeling, it's a lot of shame that goes on there. And I would prefer not to deal with that shame. I would prefer to deal with my emotions and to deal with that shame. Again, the shame is the same emotion, but like the feeling of it, it feels like it's destroying me on the inside. Whereas when I'm in control of, not even in control, when I'm more aware of like, okay, I wanted to feel significant and belong. Feeling significant and belong with somebody who is um enjoying pornography isn't going to give me what I need. There's no space for that. So I need to put myself in an environment where I'm not looking for that from that person. So, and in so many ways, when it comes to sex in general, a lot of people are wanting to have it, but nobody's really sitting down and saying, well, let me find out what it is that I really like. What do I really want with my partner? And then when couples do that, it can feel like it's not, that it's not exciting. And that I think that's the part that we try to like run away from. The part that's we want excitement in our lives, but when we don't take the time to sit down to figure out what that excitement is, that's when we start labeling it as boring. Because now I mean, like even with food, I can't even remember the last time I binged, and I'm it doesn't feel like in a part when I first started, it would feel like there was a lack. When I first started to sit down and write down what I'm feeling, it just felt like work. And, it's easier to just go into the story of like, I am overcoming food addiction or, like being attached to not even the outcome, being attached to that part of it where I need to be in this chaotic environment or this chaotic mental state. And that's my drive to now have clarity that my drive is to follow my goals, and these very habits that I pick up when I have the high dopamine, I can cultivate that in a way so that I can step away from this identity that we tend to attach to ourselves and become more me and more freeing and make decisions that doesn't feel chaotic, because I'm going into that mode of when I'm in it versus when I'm not in it. And I think one of the things that we talk about, like, why does chaos tend to feel so much more familiar, and why does struggle feel like it's something that we have to do? And this also, while this is something that we are exploring, it came up this morning because I was reading this article that someone wrote about me, and I was like, wow, I was really, really in that deep struggle in that moment, and everything in my life felt like it was, if I had to go to the grocery store, that felt chaotic. If I had to go to a court hearing, it was the same intensity as going to work or to the store or to just go for a walk. Everything felt like it was a lot. But I was like, in myself, I didn't know that I was attaching so much of my identity to even these experiences. So and I hope you can help me tie this into what we're talking about, because it is such a difference. I don't even want to like equate it to our roller coasters. You say you like theme parks, right? I'm somebody, I don't like roller coasters at all. And people always say, what do you mean? Don't you enjoy that? Woo, the fall. And I'm like, the fall is the thing that I don't like at all. That's a part of it that like terrifies me. So I've not really ever been on a roller coaster that I truly enjoy, unless it's like a kiddie one. Like, then I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm good. Right. Because I don't want to go back into that feeling of like I'm struggling, or I like to be able to enjoy it. I want to be able to go on the rides where it's a simulation, and I get to be immersed in the environment, and I get to like really allow myself to feel free in it. But I can't do that chaos anymore. I can't do that struggle anymore. Whenever things start to feel like it's a struggle, I'm like, oh wait, hold on a minute. I have to figure out what I need. Versus before, I would just dive into it and go, 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 go. So help me help myself here based on what I shared.
Okay, so first off, when we ever meet up, we will go on the kiddie rides for sure. I think the only we want to do roller coasters. Like I know you already said you don't like them, so we definitely want to do them. It's kind of interesting that you said that for you don't like roller coasters because of the drop, right? The fall. And the thing is, for me, that's the scary part of the roller coaster, but that's also the most exciting one. And I'll admit I haven't been on the very crazy roller coaster, right? I'm just talking like the ones with the little dips, but still, like there was this one ride, and this is funny because I always thought I would feel sick on a roller coaster. But it's like the thrill. When there was a drop, I was scared. But then it was like also so when it comes to roller coasters, you said that you find you're scared of the drop. Like that's the part you don't like at all about roller coasters.
I don't
And
like the
I
feeling of the drop. Ugh.
of the
Sorry.
drop. Yeah. So that's like I think the drop is kind of like where you feel like a loss of control. Like I try to like look at it once because I wanted to understand why people are scared of roller coasters. So I went into a bit of the psychology of it, and they said that people are scared of them because they could be scared of heights. I'm also scared of heights, but they said it was also more the fear of losing control because when you fall and it's a drop, you can't really control it. So that could be one of the reasons. I found it interesting because I actually find the drop scary, but I also find it thrilling. And I think that's probably also why I like horror movies. So sometimes I like look for the jump scare just so I can feel. Because for me, I have this thing where sometimes it's annoying to watch a movie because I kind of know the ending without actually, going to the, like reading the spoilers or anything like that. But what I was trying to say was that when it comes to identity, I think you brought up a good point. Sometimes we feel attached to our identities, especially when we were in struggle mode, right? Because I remember this saying that, like, what happens if you actually solve that problem that you have in life? Because let's say, for example, like you said earlier, you could have a food addiction. We don't know for sure that's the real thing, but okay, let's go with that. Who would you be if you actually solved that? Like if you actually learned how to eat, like have healthy behavior around food and you could actually model that for yourself and other people, like your kids or your nieces and nephews, then who do you become? Because earlier you might have been the aunt who was, she could not control her eating habits and like she was always having a bad day with food or using food to like, cope with her negative emotions. But what happens if you actually learn how to do that? Then what's your identity now? And I think even though we don't like labels as humans, I think very often we do try to find our identity and look for those in labels. It's very ironical, right? We don't describe ourselves. Like if we have to describe ourselves, we tend to say things like I'm very disciplined with my eating habits, or I'm a, like a what's that thing? Like I'm a terrible shopper. Like I'm a compulsive shopper. I'll just buy everything I see. So who are you without that identity? Like I remember one time I was having a conversation with this friend who had done something that I wasn't happy with, and I tried to bring it up. And for backstory context, yes, this friend had gone through a lot of hard stuff in their life. But I noticed that that's what they kept bringing up every time I brought up what I was not feeling happy with in the friendship. And then it always went back to you don't understand, you don't understand what I've been through, what I'm going through. And I realized like, okay, this person has gone through a lot. I'm not taking it away from them, but I think in a way they're going to make themselves like a victim for their entire life. So every time if it's not even just me, maybe it's other people too. Like maybe this is their identity and they don't want to change anything about that because change is hard, right? Like to actually come from one end to the other end if you want to change your behavior or you want to get out of a bad relationship and have a healthier one. It's a struggle because you don't want to leave your comfort zone. What's the saying? People prefer familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven, right? Because you're so used to that chaotic environment. You're used to being a victim. You're used to all these labels that you've attached to your identity. And who are you going to be if you actually change that? Now, granted, I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying this very easily because I do know that change is scary, right? Like to actually be able to sit and do the work, like especially I remember when we started working together, right? I had decided that there were things that I wanted to change. Like, yes, I went through the process with you. I remember you telling me that you were happy that I was open to it. But I think I had already made the decision that I do want to go through this. Like, I'm ready to face whatever I have to face, uncover all the skeletons, go through all the demons, like, because I did want to see change. And it wasn't easy. There were times I know that we struggled through it, but we got there. And like now I'm in a much better place. But for someone who's not ready, even the idea of having a completely different life just seems overwhelming because to sit with the stuff that you need to sit with, that takes a lot of courage. And I don't want to say people are cowards, but a lot of people don't have the courage to do that. And I think it all boils down to them not being ready or being too scared. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. When it comes to the identity, for me, that makes a lot of sense. What I've learned now is that when people are saying the same things over and over, they want to be witnessed. They want to be seen and understood. Like, and there's no amount of understanding someone. Like there's ways to witness people, right? But I also know for me, I had to go to the stories that I'm creating, and I stuck to I was so attached to my identity of victimhood because underneath it all, it was me just having a lot of revenge and resentment towards my mom or my dad. And at one point or the other, it's one or the other. My deepest one was a resentment towards my dad, but it was like a way of unconsciously punishing them for my life and how things turn out without even having the awareness that I was doing it. I had no idea how deeply rooted resentment was attached to my identity. And it was something that I had to unpack. And it was very difficult because that meant that I had to take full responsibility once I saw it, how I was doing it and how it was showing up. I had to take full responsibility for my own attachment, my own identity, and that felt uncomfortable because it was easier to blame somebody else. It's easier to make it about somebody else and carry this struggle on my shoulder. But once I was able to get the freeness of it, it's become now like I get to create my identity. I get to really become, I'm gonna say create is like honing in more on the things that I love about myself and the things that I struggled or what I had to or what I felt like I overcame. Now those are things that I can offer to other people. So it's like attaching back myself to an identity, but my truest identity without that underhanding resentment or the understanding underhanded what is it? It's called like punishing the other person really. Like if I hold on to this, I'm the one that's ruining my life, but if I don't hold on to this, then it makes me responsible. I had no idea that I was doing that at all. It's like it's so subtly hidden unless I put myself through those experiences, I won't even know it. So it's important if I'm stuck in this identity and I don't allow myself to go through experiences that's gonna allow me to see it differently, I'm still stuck to that identity. Underneath that identity is resentment because I want to punish other people for how my life turned out instead of taking the responsibility for myself and then choosing to do it from a more empowered space. And that's kind of what came up for me as you were talking. I'm like, yep, I see how that plays out completely. My goodness.
I love that you use the word responsibility because I think that's what I was trying to say when I was talking, but you said the right word because I think isn't it funny that we can see other people more clearly than we see ourselves? Like we have
Of
blind
course.
spots when it comes to us. We're just like, no, no, like, if this person, changes XYZ, then things will be better. If this person doesn't do XYZ, things will be better. But we never stop to think, what's my role in this? Like, what can I change? What do I need to do differently? That's part of the victimhood too, right? We're like always trying to change someone else because we don't want to change ourselves. And that could either be because we're too scared, too overwhelmed, or some people just don't think that they have any problems. They think that, that the best thing ever and everyone else is lower than them. So
Yeah.
at least that's what I've seen. And
Account-
I don't
accountability is a punch in the gut.
I agree, right? But like it's always the people who need the accountability that don't actually want it. Like the people who are ready to take it. But like, you know what, we know it's gonna be hard, but it's fine because we do need to have that standard for others and for ourselves. But something I found interesting is that I find sometimes in relationships, and this could be friendship or, romantic, I notice that sometimes when people are, I would say, at peace or content, that kind of feels a bit boring for them, a bit underwhelming. So I find that sometimes they feel like they need to bring up drama. Like if there's no drama and there's no spice, in that, like, and when I say spice, I'm talking about fighting and bickering and, things like that. Then they feel like, what are we doing together? Like this isn't right. And I think sometimes that's because our nervous system is more attuned to like chaos and like I probably was modeled in our environments growing up, or that's something we learned through childhood. I don't know, but I just thought that like while you were talking about it earlier and like your partner, of course, you were talking about a different topic, but that's something that I thought of. So I thought I would bring that up and see if you had any thoughts around it.
I mean, yeah, because that's such a disconnection from self. Anytime I see somebody like really likes the drama or they like just like to stir things up, it's such a disconnection from yourself. Because if I'm connected to myself, then I don't need to look at the negatives in other people. I don't need to judge somebody. I don't need to call three of my friends to tell them the same story four different ways because and I think for me when I have done that, I was looking for a rescuer. I was looking for somebody to blame. And that's where I went on that victim triangle. And when the thing that you said about what is my responsibility in it, that is getting off of the victim triangle. Maybe we can do an episode about the victim triangle period, because that's at any given time, no matter what we're doing, even if it's something we're celebrating, unless we have gone to the other side of that victim triangle and to the empowerment part of it, we are still either the victim, the persecutor, or the rescuer. And we're playing that role, like whether it's with myself. Oh my gosh, I'm going to eat this food. And now I'm mad because my shame has come up. So now I feel guilty. I'm going to blame the food. Oh my God, that this food is not healthy. America is such a terrible place to eat, to look at how it is in the country. I'm going to go and make all kinds of reason to justify and blame the food. And then I'm going to go and rescue myself with food because I'm hungry and what am I going to do? I need to eat, or I'm not going to shame myself for eating. Either way, there's such a dynamic in that victimhood. And I didn't used to like to even hear the word victimhood because it felt like I was being judged, but I was externally judging my own self. But that's why the chaos feels better, right? Because there's to me, it really is a disconnection with who I am and what my morals are, what my values are, and the way that I want to take responsibility for my life. Yeah, that's what came up.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up the food example. And yeah, we definitely do an episode on the victim triangle. But when we talk about food, even I have noticed that it's always the people who are if they judge someone else about their eating or their body or whatever it is, it's because they're kind of judging themselves. They're just kind of projecting that onto someone else because it's a lot easier to shame someone else than you sit in the shame of, your kind of behavior and habits and things like that. So I notice a lot of people who actually do have healthier relationships or healthy behaviors around eating or whatever it is, they are the ones who are actually more encouraging, not they're not the ones to kind of shame you for uh, any of your, as you would call it, neck traits. They have more compassion. I think they have more grace. They're willing to give you that as well. So it's actually really strange because I think very often people put us I saw a lot of this on social media these past few months that you don't love yourself enough if you don't have discipline, in your life. You're just so lazy, you don't love yourself, or you eat so badly, you don't love yourself, or whatever it is, you're in this abusive relationship because you don't love yourself. And okay, maybe those things are true on some level, but the fact that you have to come on a platform and say that says a lot more about you than it does about the people you're judging.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why when it comes to social media and what we take in and what the environment is, it can easily go to the judgment side of it, or it could easily go to the empowerment side of it. And the more I see the judgment part, the more I'm like, okay, that person is disconnected with themselves. And I'm not putting myself, or I don't want my algorithm to bring more of that. And if it is, what is it that I can take away and learn from them instead of judging them even more for how they're showing up in judgment? Because then that's still judgment. Just because someone's disconnected from them, that doesn't mean that I need to be involved in that. And I don't need to also put myself in it. And that's also being on that compassionate part of it too. Like you haven't had the experience. So if I'm going to be involved with you and I know that you haven't had the experience that will give you a different outlook on life, how can I also judge you for that?
So when it comes down to it, is is calm and peace really growth? I feel it is. For me, I am right now, when I look at my life this year and last year, I feel like there's a big difference. And the difference is the amount of peace I feel. Uh, things are still busy. They were busy last year, they're busy this year as well. But I do enjoy the moments where things are calm and things are peaceful. And I don't have a lot on my to-do list. Those days are so nice when I don't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
I look forward now to the weekends a lot more because I'm oh, I just can't wait for days where I can just, be by myself, take some time off, read a book or watch something. And I don't have this list of things that I need to get through. But I know this old past version of me would have been probably planning the to-do list on the weekend as well. What I got to do for next week. But this time I'm not doing that. And I realized how nice and peaceful that is. And I think that's when I realized, okay, maybe for me, this is growth. Like I see this as growth, even though past version of me would probably think I am stagnating at this point. But that just makes me so proud of how far I've gotten to this point. But yeah, I wanted to see what your thoughts were about calm being growth, or did you have anything else to
Uh,
add?
Calm is growth. Listen, because sometimes people ask me, so what do you do for fun? And I'm like, I just love me. Like, I like, what do you mean what do I do for fun? And I think they want to hear something exciting. Like I go dancing every third Thursday in the fifth month of July or whatever. You know how I like to get exaggerating with these crap. But I think they want to hear me say that I'm going out, I'm partying or I'm drinking. Like I don't know, man. Like sometimes it's just sitting on the patio with my candles and I'm okay, or having one of my sitting down with one of my kids and we're just talking, or or even I just I don't know, like a drive, being on a drive and listen to my music. It's like, especially since I've learned so much about my nervous system and how what peace feels like, when there's something really powerful about like really learning when we are in survival mode and when we're not. Calm may, if someone is saying that calm feels boring or it feels underwhelming, I encourage that person to have to take those times to go deeper within themselves, because you are never boring. Like you as a person in general is never boring. So what is it within you that is boring? And why are you judging that person? Where did you even get that from? I love my company now and I feel at so much peace, especially when I'm like, if I just can't, I'm a social butterfly. But when I'm done from being social, I just sometimes want to go in my car and just sit there or sit in the driveway just by myself, or I don't even know. I don't even listen to music the way a lot of people do. Sometimes I just like to sit in silence. And there was a time when sitting in silence was maddening and I would do everything to avoid it. And now it's when I have my clearest thoughts, my goals in life becomes more visible, like the things that I need to do next. I get downloads that I move from. It's so much in connection with my own self. It feels really great. So I'm trying to think back about at a time when that felt like it was underwhelming, and the times when it felt that it was when I was disconnected from me. So I go right back to that, you know. I think it may feel that way, but it's like a silent calling that, hey, there's your inner child might be tapping, your inner teen might be tapping, the part of you that witnessed boring and got that from somebody who said that being with yourself is boring, something that we learned. And it's such a deep exploration. But again, it's a tough one to go there by yourself. And I honor that too. It's for the people who do feel like it's boring. Your soul needs expanding. Your spirit needs expanding. You need expanding. And that's what it is. And I don't say that with judgment at all. I say that with a lot of compassion, because when I learned about me and I just didn't know what I didn't know, and then I learned and I started learning, it's just an experience you have to have. And if you don't allow yourself to have the experience, then you rob yourself of a lot more joy in that stability, in that quiet. That's it. Are you ready to close the curtain on this episode?
I think so. I think the takeaway is that stability is a good thing and it's not really a problem. So quite calm is not boring at all. It's a sign of growth. And I hope that people listening today take that away. Yeah. I think we can close the curtain on this one.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for listening. And if this part, anything that we said, expanded something inside of you, get together with us. Let's chat. Let's talk. Um, find out what's really underneath there. My favorite thing is getting to know somebody. So, I want to pop in. And as usual, Amanda has a quiz and a guide that's coming out soon. I'm super
Yeah,
excited
soon.
about that.
I'm still in the draft mode, but yeah, so soon it's gonna be out soon. Let's something to look forward to. But in the meantime, you guys
Yes.
have the quiz, my food behavior pattern quiz is there. And Lazina's repair language quiz is down there too. So you guys can take that. We talked
Yes.
a lot about patterns and types on one of our episodes. So if you missed that, you definitely want to go check out that episode because it's packed with a lot of detail. You might need to listen to it one or two times. But yeah, We're so happy to
Yeah.
have you guys here and hanging out with us.
Yeah, we will see you on the next one. Do my peace sign.